Okay, it's 7:30, and I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And Mr. Lee is not present this evening as he is out of town, but he will be participating in the meeting via the conference line we have set up here in the boardroom. Don, Mr. Lee, can you hear us?
I'm here. I am here.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. I'd like to go ahead and ask Dr. McDowell to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Everyone stand.
Right hand over your heart, ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. McDowell. Okay, welcome all guests. I would like to go ahead and I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, we approve and we adopt the agenda. All right, we have no report from closed session actions today. And at this point, we're going to move on to recognitions. Dr. Kim?
Thank you, Mrs. Deutsch. It's my pleasure to introduce our Certificated Employee of the Year for our elementary schools. Carol Grossi, will you please come on up? Carol is a veteran teacher of 22 years at Towers Elementary School. During this time, she has never stopped learning and moving forward with the changes in education at the national, state, and local levels. She immerses herself in the latest best practices in instructional strategies, including the latest technology-based curriculum, and is successful in implementing these strategies for the benefit of all of her students. She is a veteran of many programs such as Sally Ride and Mickelson Science Academies. She has the vision, courage, wisdom, and professional knowledge that create opportunities for all of her students to achieve to their highest potential. In addition, Carol has an uncanny knack of pulling out the best of her fellow teachers at her school as well. She's a spark plug for the entire staff in raising the professionalism, dedication, and infectious enthusiasm for teaching and learning. For me, when I visit her classroom, I just really love playing with all of her stuff.
Thank you.
Carol is TUSD's representative to the County Teacher of the Year program, and the county has also recognized Carol's talents, and that's why she's one of 16 semifinalists to move forward to the State Teacher of the Year program as well. Carol truly embodies what Teacher of the Year means. She truly deserves this honor. Congratulations, Carol.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kim. Thank you.
And also with us is the principal of Towers Elementary, Sandy Scoras, here too.
You want more Sandy too?
Congratulations, Carol.
Okay.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Classified Employee of the Year for elementary schools, Grace Basso. Please come on up. Grace started her fan club in May of 2002 as a child development program assistant for the infant care program at Torrance Tots. In April 2006, she was promoted to child development instructor for Torrance Tykes, and shortly after was hired into her current position as child development enrollment clerk 2. Grace is very mechanical, which is very helpful for the all-female Tykes staff. I didn't write this, remember that? She can repair appliances and assemble things with ease. She is very computer literate and works with all of the ETIS department very well, with all of the odd Tykes computer issues that seem to come up, because we have to deal with the county and the state and all these other entities. Grace is the heart of Torrance Tykes. She keeps the program strong and vibrant. She never sits back and just lets things ride. She's always looking for ways to make the program better, more efficient, and more productive. Grace cares deeply about all of the children who attend Tykes, and she wants the best for all of them. She makes a huge difference in the lives of those children and the teachers there every day. Congratulations, Grace. Also here with us tonight is the principal of our preschool programs, Dr. Elaine Seppel.
Okay, staff, come on.
Do they fit?
Camera. Yes. Okay, big smile. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2. Great.
It's a part of me, you see.
I'd like to now call up Amy Argento, Certificated Employee of the Year, Middle School. Amy began her service in the district in 2001 at Victor Elementary School and later served at Seaside Elementary. In 2010, she moved to Jefferson Middle School as a 6th grade science and social studies teacher. She has since transitioned into a beloved teacher and now a phenomenal district teacher lead in science. Amy's passion for children and education stands out daily in her mindset of teaching to the whole child, developing lifelong learners, and in her work to bring out each student's personal best. She has the exceptional reputation as an instructional lead and compassionate educator. Amy is dedicated and strong supporter of TUSD and the JMS school team. Both as a CMAS lead teacher and expert in her field, Amy pulls together her department colleagues to support and assist in the transition into the next-gen science standards and the implementation. She is seen as a valuable resource and lead throughout the district. Both JMS colleagues and peers from other schools seek Amy out for support, professional guidance, and instructional best practices. Also, parents rave about her as an exceptional instructor, and teachers rave about her as a knowledgeable colleague, supporter, and resource. Amy continues to shine in each of her roles as an educator. JMS is proud of you, Amy Argento. Congratulations. I'd also like to call up Principal Kara Heinrich, AP Lisa Jones, and the entire JMS support team.
Okay. Big smiles. 2, 3. Yeah, you want me to take
Next, I'd like to call up Diane Jutt, Classified Employee of the Year, Middle School, also from Jefferson Middle School. Diane began her service in the district in September 1993 at Jefferson Middle School as a library media technician. She is committed to helping students reach their full academic potential and develop into lifelong learners. Her passion for literacy and love of reading is evident through her commitment and work with our school-wide literacy program, support of JMS staff, and her contributions to our school's professional learning community. In addition to maintaining the library, running book fairs, and maintaining the site's technology equipment, Diane has been pivotal in developing and maintaining Jefferson's school-wide million-word campaign. This program has expanded students' literary repertoire, grown passion for reading, and raised student achievement. On top of running the Million Word campaign, Diane additionally manages the weekly tutorial Thursday literary sessions and keeps busy selecting and designing Jefferson's Book of the Month schedules and activities. Diane is a tremendous support and resource to Jefferson. She's a dedicated team player and an active member of the staff and school community. We are proud at Jefferson to call her our library and media technician and now the Middle School Classified Employee of the Year. Congratulations. JMS staff, come on up.
I'd like to now call upon South High Social Studies teacher, a 15-year veteran, Mr. Jason Rosenthal. Jason, as the high school teacher of the year, excels in everything he does, whether it is teaching world history, government, econ, AP world history, AP government, serving as the gate coordinator, intervention coordinator, or Common Core leader. Jason takes on massive leadership roles and responsibilities in the school, the district, and outside the school. He is one of the most challenging teachers in the school, yet is beloved by his students, and despite the rigor of his instruction, is strongly sought out by students selecting their classes. Jason was one of the key participants in last year's TUSD Common Core training. Not only was Jason one of the most engaged participants, he designed presentations to train other South High teachers in the department, as well as a lead in training all of our social studies teachers district-wide. As the South High Gate Coordinator, Jason guides teachers through the process of completing the College Board's annual certification and authorization process for their AP audit, a massive task. Provides staff development to all AP teachers, coordinates their conference attendance and scheduling of practice nights, Saturday study sessions, and final exams, and orders, plans, organizes, and administers all AP exams in May. He has also served as the Social Studies Department Chair for 4 of the past 8 years. Congratulations to Jason Rosenthal, TUSD High School Teacher of the Year. Looks like Jason has some family here as well, including his supervisors at the school, Dr. McDowell, Michelle Fournier, and John Kanashiro, assistant principals.
Yeah, better things. Yes. Wrote off.
Next up, Classified Employee of the Year for the high schools, Ricardo Villa. Ricardo began working as a substitute custodian for the Torrance Unified School District in August 1993. In May 1994, he was hired as custodian at West High School. He has spent his entire career at West High, although the first 7 years were a split assignment between West High and Towers Elementary. Ricardo has worked in he's worked in every area of the West High campus over the years and is an expert on knowing all the setups and schedules that are required. Ricardo has 4 children and 2 grandchildren. His oldest 2 children have been in the military, his youngest daughter just completed her dental hygienist degree, and his younger son, a recent West High graduate, is currently at El Camino. Ricardo plans on to use his degree in agronomy to start a business in Mexico with his brother when he retires from TUSD, which we hope is no time soon. So congratulations, Ricardo. Pam Metz, West High principal, is here as well to support Ricardo.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
It is my pleasure to introduce Nancy Roy, Certificated Employee of the Year, Adult School. For over 30 years, Nancy Roy's many ESL students at the Torrance Adult School have benefited from her teaching skills, dedication, patience, creativity, and kindness as they adapt to life in a new country. Nancy's students appreciate how she makes their lessons interesting, entertaining, and educationally effective. Current and former students take advantage of her open door and open heart, bringing their struggles and successes to their helpful teacher. Both teachers and students appreciate Nancy's role as a school cheerleader. Over many years, she has taken it upon herself to organize numerous activities that bring students together as members of the adult school community. She has organized citizenship recognition ceremonies and whole school sing-alongs complete with event-specific decorations and costumes in order to introduce students to American holidays and traditions. She has organized enriching field trips in order to familiarize our immigrant students with resources in their local community. As a faculty member, Nancy has been generous with her time and knowledge. Many of our current ESL teachers have benefited from her mentoring. She assists new teachers and volunteers with teaching tips and techniques and generally makes them feel welcome to the TAS family. It is with great pleasure that we congratulate Nancy on this award. I think I saw Dr. Doolio over there also. And Portia's there, and Jim Jones, is Jim Jones back there, Portia?
He's not hiding with us.
Oh, okay.
Ruben.
You can't see me. Okay, perfect. There we go. Smile. Great. Thank you. Okay. One, two, three. Okay.
And Ruben, why don't you stay up here? I'd like to introduce Ruben Solis, the Classified Employee of the Year for the Adult School. Ruben began his employment for TUSD in December of 2007, where he started as a part-time substitute custodian. Ruben received a permanent position at Hamilton Adult School in October of 2011. He began working the morning shift, assuring the school site was open and ready for students and staff. He has made many positive contributions to his position and assisted all staff members whenever needed. Reuben is a long-term resident of Torrance. His children graduated from West High School. In addition, his granddaughter is the second generation to graduate from West High School. He has been happily married to his wife, Loretta, for 40 years. Reuben is a critical component of the adult school team, and everyone shares that he is a pleasure to work with. He is smart, hardworking, and a person that assures everything is working properly. He is dedicated, dependable, and a self-starter. When Reuben is on a special task or assignment, we know the job will be done in spectacular fashion. Reuben Solis.
They're back. Nobody wants to be at the front. Just a little bit over there. There we go.
Okay, now I can see. Okay, 1, 2. No. There we go. Okay, so smile.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Arlene Soto. Arlene began her service in the district in 1985 as an instructional assistant at Arlington Elementary School. In 1995, she moved to Carr Elementary to work in the computer lab as an instructional assistant. Excuse me. She enjoyed working with the students who were excited and ready to learn educational software. In 1996, Arlene accepted a position of the Certificated Personnel Technician in Human Resources Department. She became part of the Fiscal Services Department. Shortly thereafter, she served as account payroll clerk, accounting specialist, senior accounting specialist, and currently serves as the senior fiscal services specialist. Excuse me. Arlene reviews and coordinates the attendance records for all sites and ensures accuracy. The reporting of the attendance data directly affects the district's funding. Arlene's motto is "Be consistent." She is very thankful for everyone's cooperation and support throughout the years. Arlene has an excellent reputation for solving problems, applies policies and procedures that are beneficial to the district. Her co-workers value her go-to person for help and advice, and I really appreciate Arlene because I tell everybody I've never been in a district that has had as high attendance as this district, and the auditors come in always and question whether it's true, and it is true because of Arlene's work. Teacher, Torrance Unified District is very proud and lucky to have her in our family. Arlene, congratulations. In the audience, I have Ron Lau and Judy Chow who work with Arlene. Come on in. Come on, Ron. Come on, Judy. Huh? It's theirs. Come on, Ron, Judy.
Where's Pete?
Pete's right there. June, come on.
They were kind of late. Sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Lee, are you still there?
We probably lost him. Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations to all of the recipients of your plaques, and on behalf of the Board of Education, we thank you for your dedicated service. Thank you. At this time, you are more than welcome to exit with your families or stay, but please feel free to leave us. You don't have to continue joining us. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Oh, earlier.
Okay, you don't have to. Yes. Oh, that's where he looks familiar. Yeah. It is.
Oh, no.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Go, please.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We had to do selfie.
Are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't Tilly? She was sure.
Put that.
There's something.
Is there something? Yeah, you got it. It's not in your shirt.
I have to get my resume thingy. Someone
Excuse me. It wasn't
Yes.
said, but I'd like to thank you all for this stuff.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Like your little beanie.
Thank you.
Okay, that's true. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue with our agenda on number 9, which is staff presentation and information. Report from the Torrance Education Foundation. I understand we have Susan is here. Hi, Susan. Hi.
First, I'd just like to say what a pleasure and privilege it is to be here this evening and witness this litany of wonder and special services. Really great. I'm here to talk about two things this evening. One is that I think you all know we are in the midst of the application cycle for the STEM Initiative Award grants this season. The deadline is September 30th, midweek next week, and to whatever extent my being here tonight can continue to promote the application process to students and administrators who might have a STEM project that would fit the program, we would love to have as many applications as possible so we can move forward with that. The other thing I'm here to talk about tonight is, as you know, we have our annual Skechers peer-to-peer friendship walk coming up on October 25th. All of the Torrance schools now have teams set up on the website, and we are eager and ready to start promoting it. I do want to say a very special thank you to all of the ambassadors. Each school has a volunteer. Almost all of them are teachers who have volunteered to be the ambassador on site in collaboration with principals to be sure that we get the word out to everybody, all the students, everyone else on campus, to build teams so that everyone can pitch in and raise more money for their own school.
Great.
That's it.
I've got a question, Susan. So
Yes.
how do you, if I'm interested in signing up, do I go onto a website?
Yes, that's
Friendship?
SkechersFriendshipWalk.org, and as of the end of this week, we will also have all that linked information on our own website, TorranceEducationFoundation.org. You can also phone me or email me with questions.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. A report from the Torrance Council of PTAs, Michelle Vandenbergie. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi.
As I reported at our last meeting, and we had Nikki Gerdes, our membership chair for Torrance Council, we are in full swing with membership drives at all the schools, all 30. So we're anxious to kind of get the first round of numbers that will be turned in at our first association meeting, which will be October 7th. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, where we're at with our numbers. I'm really hoping that Torrance Council as a whole can have a membership increase. We haven't had that for a little while, and so I've got some high hopes for the way things are going. It's looking great. We are also holding a set of training workshops, which is going to be on October 5th, just to continuously keep our people trained up, and we're already, forming nominating committees and getting that ready to start looking at things for next year with all of our procedures. We have to do that kind of early, but we're getting into the swing of that. And then 33rd District, which is the next level up above Torrance Council of PTAs, is also having training. So there's always wonderful opportunities for our people to be trained and continue to learn. Reflections program, most of the schools have kicked that off, and that is a national arts program that PTA sponsors, national PTA sponsors, and there's one additional medium. They're allowing 3D art projects, so there's going to be sculptures and different things, so it's going to be really interesting once the kids start turning things in, what we're going to see. We've had several winners and kids that have moved on up to state, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to be coming down the road. So I will report out on that once we start seeing projects being turned in. Other than that, any questions?
Michelle, who's your Reflections Chair this year?
Reflections Chair, her name is Lopsy Schwartz.
Okay.
And Lisa Snowes, who was our chair last year, is now the 33rd District Chair. So we have great communication with that, so it's working out wonderfully.
Any questions, Board? Okay, thank you, Michelle. Okay. Okay, introduction of student representative to the board, first quarter 2015-2016, and report by student representative, Dr. Dugal.
Thank you, Mrs. Deutsch.
You're welcome.
We would like to welcome William Kang. He is the ASB president currently at North High School. Before coming to North, William attended Lincoln Elementary and Casimir Middle School, and he's hoping to attend either UC San Diego or UC Irvine in the fall of next year. In his spare time, William enjoys writing, volunteering, and playing ping pong. He is part of the Torrance Youth Council, various service clubs, and was also part of the Sacramento Safari last year, where he went with the school board and PTA sponsored him to go with other students. up to Sacramento to represent the students from the district in front of legislators. So we're very excited to have William joining us for the next few meetings. So welcome, William.
Thank you for having me tonight, and so I will be catching you guys up on what's been going on around campus. So over the summer, our two big events were freshman orientation and our registration. And freshman orientation was run by a club on campus called HRA, which is Human Resources Ambassadors. So they just kind of welcomed the freshmen, got them familiarized with the campus and just everything that North High really stands for, our spirit, our heart, and everything that we have on campus. And so, yeah, and last Friday we just had our Welcome Back Assembly, which was just basically introducing fall sports, welcoming our new teachers, and just getting everyone back into the groove of school. And so this Wednesday, we have our Club Rush Day, where clubs set up booths around the quad during lunch to inform others about what their clubs do and what they stand for, what their ideals are, and hopefully recruit members who have the same sets of ideals. And also the next day, on Thursday, we have our Army All-American jersey presentation to Mike Juarez, who is our star football player. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he's committed to USC, so he's going to be going there in the fall of spring of 2016. So we're pretty excited for that. And October 1st, we will have our homecoming kickoff, which is basically just kicking off everything homecoming. This will be the start of our homecoming season. So we're going to have people run for homecoming court, be their king and queen of their classes. And our theme for this year's homecoming is North throughout the decades. So in the same sentiment of North's 60th anniversary, which is trying to incorporate the decades throughout the years. And on the 30th, we will have our North High tailgate as well as our North High game, our homecoming game. And the tailgate will include a haunted house that will be open to the public and a North High museum exhibit. So just looking at North High throughout the years, and like from 1956 to now, and just seeing all the highlights of the years. And the football game will be at home at 7 p.m. I'm assuming, and we'll have an intermission in between, a little halftime show. That will use to reveal the homecoming queen. And our November is our month of giving, so we kick that off with the blood drive will be November 4th through 6th. And the Myanmar clothing drive, the Operation Christmas Child, canned food drive, and our Japanese school visits. So we've just been trying to get back into the groove of school and preparing for all these events that we have so far. So if you have any questions, you can shoot them over to me.
Well, it sounds like you've been really, really busy at North. Mrs. Reagans?
Yes, actually. Did you say club days this Friday?
This Wednesday.
Oh, this Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just wanted to say I actually had the pleasure to get to know William actually quite well in Sacramento last year. And he had mentioned at that point that he was intending to be ASB president next year. So it looks like you made good on your threat. It's really nice to see you here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
same.
Okay, well, welcome.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so now we move on to the number 4, which is the Torrance Unified School District Initial Contract Proposal to CSEA Chapter 845. And this is where I read, Dr. Meehan? Yes. Okay. As you are aware, state law provides that we hold a hearing for public input regarding the TUSD initial contract proposal to CSEA Chapter 845. Copies of the proposal will be available to the public in all city libraries and in the Human Resources Department. Time for public comment on the contract proposal will be provided at the October 12, 2015 Board of Education meeting. Okay, public hearing. Public hearing and board's initial response on the CSEA Chapter 845 initial contract proposal. The CSEA Chapter 845 initial contract proposal was submitted at the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on September 8, 2015. Copies of the proposal have been available in the city libraries and the Human Resources Department for review by the public. A public hearing will be held on the CSEA Chapter 845 initial contract proposal at this time. Is there any public comment related to the CSEA Chapter 845 initial contract proposal? Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. The Board of Education looks forward to the continuation of cooperative, good faith contract negotiations with CSEA Chapter 845. The Board's initial response is to refer the CSEA Chapter 845 initial contract proposal to the Board's representative for negotiations. Okay, so, and now we go on to oral communications.
We have no card.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mannon. Okay, discussion items. Okay, we move on to number 2, which is approval of proposed board policies update, July 2015 revisions, first reading. I need a motion and a second.
Make a motion, we approve this and waive the second reading.
Second.
Okay,
He's back.
all right, and,
Never went anywhere.
okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. Any questions from the board? Okay, here,
Actually, sorry.
Mrs. Reagans.
I was talking with Mr. Mara outside about the use of technology pieces. Right, that they are somewhat different from what we previously had and our replacements. I just wondered if you could outline things that might be different this time?
Yeah, like like the parking lot meeting we were having.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, a lot of the last versions we had were back in 2007. So these, well, obviously technology's changed quite a bit with the advent of social media and a lot of the other platforms. So this really just takes into account all of the new technologies that are out there and available to our students and our staff also. So, and that includes, you know, behaving well on our network, you know, if you're a student or a staff member, abiding by all the rules, not bringing in nefarious programs and everything into the network, and using all of the technology for its specific use, whether it's for instructional technology or productivity use for our teachers, which can also be used for instructional uses too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor to approve?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carried and it is approved. All right, third, approve the unaudited actual financial statements for fiscal year 2014-2015 and approve revisions to the 2015-2016 ending fund balances. Dr. Stabler.
So moved.
Oh, second. That's true.
Thank you very much. I also like to introduce Judy Chai, our Chief Financial Officer, who's the one who put this report together, and we are going to go over the 2014-15 unaudited actual. In the unaudited actual, unrestricted general fund, you'll see here what was estimated in the unaudited actual, which was done in July and August, and the difference in the ending balance, basically there was a $1.5 million increase to the ending balance, and it was in the net operating surplus. Components of the ending balance, and these are the parts other than the unrestricted reserve, which we talk about quite a bit. We have a responsibility to have a revolving cash. Our stores have gone up, and that is, in good times, we will carry more product in the warehouse than we do when things are a little bit leaner. QZAB is Qualified Zone Academy Bond Program. I think Ms. Reagans was the only one that was on the board when we originally did that, and it was a loan program through the federal government for Torrance Elementary, Carr Elementary, and Magruder Middle School to provide what were called academy programs. We also have money that's assigned for adult education, and you can see there's been an increase to that. Other components assigned for student achievement textbooks and technology, primarily, well, that's estimated and it's gone up a little bit. Primarily, that's the money that was set aside for the infrastructure upgrade. You also have the money set aside for targeted student groups, and you can see there was an increase during the unaudited actual in that. Reserve for economic uncertainties, this is the money that we set aside for uncertainties, and as a district our side, we're required to have a 3% reserve. You know very well with your hard work that during the economic downturn we actually had a significant reserve. Your direction was to spend that down, and that's what we're intending to do, and we continue to do that. See, the reserve did raise a little bit, about 0.17% from our estimate to our unaudited actuals. And what's next? On December 7th, we will be bringing you the first interim financial report. This is under AB 1200. Districts are required to come to you, well, when they're in good financial condition, twice a year, a first and a second interim financial report, and then if there are issues, the county would require a third. We've never had a third financial report. Was there a question?
Well, we're at 12, almost 13%.
Mario, could you go back one, please? Thank you.
12, almost 13% now in our.
That was last year.
Right. So where are we? What are we scheduled to? I mean, to get down closer to that 3.
Well, remember the idea would be that we would be at the 3%, close to the 3% at the end of the 3 years, and that was last year, this year, and then one more is the intent to get down to the 3%.
Okay, in and around it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board members? Okay, thank you. So there was a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
those opposed, say no. Okay, thank you. It's been approved.
Judy didn't get to say anything.
Thank you, Judy.
I think Judy's happy, yeah.
We know who put that 100-plus page report together. Thank you. Approval to enter into a contract with Emerald Data Solutions, Inc. for Board Docs Online Agenda Program. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mara? And Shelley Morse.
Okay, I think everybody's aware, maybe not, that the current program that we're on is only available to us, well, actually, they would have liked to have us switch over by now, but is available to us, I believe, through the end of November as our subscription. Originally, CSBA worked with Apple to develop the program that we are still using. They've since developed their own program, so they have sole control of it, which when we trained on it last September had several issues at that time. I'm sure some of those have been fixed, but we weren't able to support it that time, so we remained on the old program. So now we're coming up on, we had to make a change to one or the other. So I went and talked with Redondo Beach, who is currently on the new CSBA Agenda Online, and I went and sat in on a training, or was invited by Manhattan Beach, who is with Board Docs, and have emailed with about 5 or 6 other districts in the area. 3 of those districts are using the Board Docs. 2 are with CSBA, and one of those, which is Redondo, is considering switching. The Board Docs overall, either program is going to take all of us a little learning to be familiar with the new program, but Board Docs just had so many, well, it's very easy to use, very user-friendly, the training I sat in on, and then there's a lot of aspects available through that program that aren't available through CSBA, such as some of the search capabilities being able, and I think some of this was in your memo, so I apologize if I'm repeating some of it, but being able to search not only our items that we've entered, but the actual attachments to items, which sometimes people say, when did we approve that? Well, when you have a general item, you have to go through and open up each attachment. They also have a meta search component, which they have all these subscribers, and we are able to search anything that any of their subscribers have submitted. So if we come up with something that we haven't used before, we might be able to find a template item to use. Also, simple things such as spell check while you type, and overall, we don't have that in the current program, so it's up to us proofing for even something as simple as a spelling mistake or a typo. So just some of those items, and they come out and train. They will do a 2-day training. Most of that will be with myself and 2 others who are substitute replacements for me. And then with the cabinet secretaries as submitters, and then there will be about, I think they said about an hour with board members and cabinet on familiarizing yourself on how to use the program, and then also a couple hours with all the other cabinet secretaries submitting. So just in reviewing the 2, and CSBA, when I talked with Redondo, still has some issues with their program, such as the assistant over there does the whole agenda, and then currently copies and pastes it into Word so he can reformat it so it's readable. Well, there's an extra, after you've entered and done all that, an extra hour or so to get it readable or reader-friendly. So anyway, just, and not wanting to start in one program and then find out it's not working for us and have to switch again. I really feel this is probably going to be the best program for us in the long run. And then we can store and manage our board policies in that same program too. We still have to, either program, we still have to subscribe to Gamut to receive the board policy updates, but storing them, managing them and everything, and linking them to our website or for access to the public or whoever needs to view it is very simple and something they will do. They will also convert over all our files from CSBA, so we'll still have access to our, I guess you'd call it our archived agendas and minutes.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. Did you need to add anything, Mr. Mora?
No,
Okay.
not really. I just
No,
need to
okay.
keep the internet up.
Okay, Mrs. Reagans?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about the last function you said of being able to access policies, that could be useful for public to actually search and find policies more rapidly and efficiently online?
I'd have to check with that, but I'm sure all principals and administrators have access that are always calling, the administrative assistants and saying, where's that policy on cell phones or whatever, and now it just takes a while. So
Yes.
they would have easier access, and I would think so, with anyone being able to log into the website, would be able to search the board policies.
I'm looking at they have these e-policy features, they call it, so I'm looking at their specs right now. So it looks like, yeah, you can manage, user manages and publishes a policy book. So it looks like you can have your policies online, searchable with links, policy cross-referencing, linked to existing external web-based policy systems. So there is all of that built into this. It seems pretty well-featured.
I would actually find that helpful too, because I'm often looking for a specific policy and have to go to whichever administrator it is that deals with that area to find it, because it's not easy. That would be great too. That'd be a nice function. Thanks.
Mr. Steffen?
I just want to thank you. Your memo was very clear, it was very precise, and it was very easy to understand, and your choice seems to be rather a good one, so
Thank
from
you.
what I can tell. So thank you very much for your
It
effort.
looks like she did her homework. Yeah, you did. Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, all those in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion has been approved. Thank you. Okay, approval to purchase additional Chromebooks and carts from SigmaNet, Inc. Mr. Mara?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion in a
So moved.
second?
And second?
Thank you.
Actually, I'll go first, Mrs. Deutsch. Then I'll kick it over to Gil.
Okay.
So, moving back to last November, the voters of the community passed Measures T and U. Measure T calls for $30 million for technology over 30 years, $5 million every 5 years. And last spring, we had a committee, and we brought forth that committee 2 tasks. One, to select the device for teachers and clerical, and then 2, to select the device for students, because not only do we need to put new technology in the hands of teachers and the people that work in the schools, we need to make sure that students have additional devices as well. And so in June, we brought you the recommendation to go with the Dell laptops and desktops. The rollout of those was led by Mr. Morrow and went swimmingly with the teachers, and we're working through it, and the administrators and clerical will get their devices in the next couple of months. Now we're here in September asking for you to approve this item on additional Chromebooks. If you'll remember, back in February of 2014, we rolled out 3,400 Chromebooks for actually 3,240, I think, was the number that we leased back then, and that was specifically for the purpose of smarter balance testing. We had to get devices out there in students' hands so that we could take the assessments that are required of us, and so to do those online assessments, we determined that a ratio of 4 to 1 in those grades that are testing was going to be sufficient and enough for the students to take those exams. And so we maintained that number. While some schools have purchased additional or leased additional out of their own site funds, the district provided devices have been at a 4 to 1 ratio at grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and grade 11. And those are the levels that are doing the assessment. And so the committee this past spring was very supportive of continuing with the Chromebooks. They're easy for students to use and log on to. Students they're not unique or tied to a particular student, and the teachers really felt that those carts of Chromebooks were effective for lots of different purposes within the classroom, not just the assessment. And so this summer, after we went through and purchased the laptops and the desktops, looked at how much money that we have. The laptops and desktops took about half of the $5 million, the first issue of $5 million. And so what we've got here is an additional $1.3 million, little more, for the purchase of these additional Chromebooks. And we'll get into the purchase versus lease thing here shortly. What this does, it more than doubles what we have out there on campuses. And so each elementary school will get double the number that they currently have provided by the district, which will get their numbers down to 4 to 1 or less. The high schools, we're going to quadruple the number that the high schools got, because remember, we only provided enough for the 11th graders, 4 to 1 ratio at 11th grade. And so we're going to quadruple those numbers at the high school, which will get the high schools down to at least 4 to 1. And in many cases, I think all cases, the high schools have purchased or leased additional devices, and so they're probably going to be closer to 3 to 1. And then because middle school initially got 4 to 1, grades 6, 7, and 8, they all test, and so they got those. Our goal was really to get a maximum 4 to 1 number, and so we're going to get middle schools down to 3 to 1 with these additional 4,000 devices, because we felt it's very important that the middle school get touched with the Measure T money as well, and get these devices in the hands of students. And so, that's kind of the history and the background and why we made these decisions. The committee, and Mr. Wormers was a member of that committee, we talked about, 1-to-1, and we didn't have the level of funding to be able to get to 1-to-1, nor do we feel that at this time that's the most effective use of dollars. And so in working with other members of the committee, we felt that, if we could get across the board 4 to 1, like we had at the middle school and those other grades, that was really a goal, and we're going to be able to exceed that with the purchase of 4,000 additional. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mara to talk about the lease versus the buy.
So well, I'll talk a little bit more about the device itself, because it kind of plays a factor. So the initial Samsungs that were leased about 18 months ago, we're getting a few of them back into my office because they're coming in in some disrepair. The students don't always take care of everything. So, yeah, can you believe that? They enjoy picking the keys out so they can spell their name. So we're getting those keyboards with the keys popped off, and sometimes they don't hold the device properly. They'll grab it by the edge, and they crack it. And SigmaNet actually has this little program. We'll roll it out with the purchase of these things called the SigmaNet Bear, little cartoon bear that teaches kids how to carry their devices properly. And they say they actually see a reduction of damage when they roll out the little mascot on how to take care of devices. Kind of makes sense if you've got little ones, especially if we're getting down into the lower levels. If they've never really been instructed on how to care for devices, they just don't know. I mean, I yell at my kids all the time on how to take care of their devices, but it just goes along with proper care of your technology. Right along with everything else when we talk about cyber safety. So the devices that we're getting, these 11-inch, are ruggedized. The 11-inch Dells are ruggedized, so they're expected to last quite a bit longer. The keys don't pop off, okay, at least without a hammer and a chisel. The screen, unlike the Samsungs, they fold completely flat, like the Dells we bought. We never demoed this for the teachers. I didn't show this to them, but that way they can go all the way down to the table without snapping the hinges, because we're seeing some of that too as they come in. So that does play a factor in the purchase. I think with a straight purchase, right, they'll last a little longer. We'll be able to wear them out, and we'll use them until the wheels fall off. And from some of the documentation I've gotten from some online resources, this particular model is expected to go about 4 years, 4 to 5 years, and we should get some really good use out of it. A Dell lease from Dell Finance would have cost over the 3 years, a 3-year lease with $1 buyback, about an extra $137,000 on top of a purchase. So we save that a little bit. Dr. Stabler may have some magic financing. We can talk about that a little later on. He's the business guru, so maybe he can work that number. But at this point, a straight purchase seems to be the way to go, and also considering that the ruggedized model of the Dell 11-inch is pretty good. Again, it's built for the kids, unlike some of the Samsungs. So.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Steffen, question?
Just in our use of the 11-inch screen, or 11-inch device, and in the whole S-back, everyone felt that was a big enough screen, it was successful. I mean, and the kids were able to do all the multi-screens at one time on that device, right?
Yes, with the Samsungs that we had no issues with students during the Smarter Balance testing.
Okay. And so that you don't see any need to go to a larger screen or anything like that?
I do not.
Okay.
Mrs. Reagans?
Yeah, so with the outright purchase, we'll have, I assume, a year warranty on the machine like normal. And then after that, the maintenance and repair will be up to us. And we have staff and resources in order to be able to do that?
Well, here's where I caution about the repair part. So take, for instance, the Samsungs that are coming back. One of our guys was repairing it because that's what he figured he needed to do. But when I look at the parts list, it's $170.
Yeah, that's almost a new one.
It's beyond, it's over the 50% of its street market value. So at that point, it's beyond economic repair. So I don't see us doing repair. It just doesn't seem like, unfortunately, for better or for worse, they're commodities. They're almost disposable, at that cost. We're getting these, if you don't include the license, the Google license, they're $213 each.
215?
$213.
13.
Yeah. So I mean, you'll spend $50, $70 to $100 on parts, plus an hour of time for the tech. And what I really need, since we only have 4 of them right now, I really need them out in the field, taking care of a lot of our service tickets. And it's just not cost-effective for us to do repair, so it's almost set it aside, you know? And it's better for us to almost, build some, have some on spare on standby to dish out.
Okay. And actually, I did have one additional question. Someone saw this on the agenda and then said, so are we eliminating really computer labs on a district-wide basis? Because this essentially creates carts for almost every, not every classroom, but so how does that interact with this purchase? Either, it doesn't matter.
So that can be a philosophy almost,
Yeah.
right? That's an instructional, I've seen it go back and forth. I've seen schools, not just even in our district, and it's a discussion even in my listserv that says, now that we're going mobile and there's enough power in these Chromebooks or even laptops, what is really the purpose of a computer lab that is taking up space, that may be converted into a classroom? I would leave that as a site-by-site decision. There are, good uses for a lab when you've got things like Project Lead the Way, and you've got STEM programs that require a fixed lab, or even some of your principles of engineering classes that require something really specific. So you'll need those labs. The generic lab of just where you bring 30 kids into a classroom to do typing web, if that's the only reason for that lab to exist, perhaps it doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, exactly.
When you can roll in a Chromebook cart and do your typing web, or general purpose Google Docs and word processing or spreadsheet programs, to hone those skills. Specialized labs, I don't think we'll ever go away from those, but yeah, if I were a principal, I would look at that, yeah. But I don't think we're mandating any removal of any lab anytime soon.
Okay, thanks.
And just, I'd like to add on to that, and we're not mandating, we're not saying tear up your labs, but as principals, as the hardware in those rooms ages, and principals come to us and say, what should we do?
Yeah.
We're having this conversation, and really getting them trying to provide some guidance and getting them to think about what are the goals, what are the outcomes that they want students to have, and how does a lab serve that? How does maybe a mobile, where you can get more devices that are mobile for the same investment, dollar figure wise, what's the payoff there?
Right. And then my last question is, this is not intended to be a student lending machine. Is that correct?
Like
These are
going-
intended to be
No, we're-
classroom and school based computers, not for lending out to students in any way.
Correct, yeah, and they're configured 36 on a cart, and we've got 112 carts that are full, and we'll, as Mr. Mara told the principals, it's going to be a drive-by drop-off. Be at the curb ready, and the truck's going to come and,
Take it.
yeah,
But then they have to plug them in, right?
roll them into the classrooms.
I guess you can do a service ticket to have some of us come over to plug it in. So,
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Steffen?
In the situation like, that place you used to work, we don't talk about it anymore. Like some of the batteries in the laptops are not charging up. They're not holding a charge. So you're in this position where you have to decide. And now, if something like that happens at a school site, is it the school's job to replace that battery? Or it's something, I'm not too sure at what point it becomes not cost effective.
right, and then we'd
Now
have to
you gotta
look at
keep
the
the thing
cost
plugged
of
in.
the,
But, so, who's responsible for making those types of decisions, or who's liable?
that would be myself and Dr. Stowe.
Funding-wise.
Oh, okay, funny. Well, I would think that the Measure T would continue. Let's say the battery is $20, okay? I don't think it would be this, we haven't discussed it, but I don't think it would be the school's responsibility to replace. We're the ones purchasing the devices, so.
So the upkeep, whatever upkeep is reasonable, the
Right.
district will take it over, and it just has to go through the process, okay?
Yeah.
Is that-
And
Is that how you feel about it?
Right, I do. We'll have to look at that kind of as we move forward. And I will tell the board that out of that first issuance of $5 million, there's going to be about, after this purchase, should it be approved, there'll be about $1 million left. Because, we just sold them. So we've got 4.5 more years in which to get through. And so, knowing that these devices are 3 to 4, maybe 5 years if we can squeeze it, we need to have some funds available out of the Measure T money before that next issuance of $5 million to be able to either increase the ratio or get other, devices in 3 years, 4 years when we see that maybe there's a need.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Warmers?
Dr. Stowe, I've been doing this for about 6 years. In that past 6 years, I've watched us embrace, Dr. Mann has been leading us down a path involving technology. Is it changing the way it's got to be changing the way we're acting in the classroom with our teachers? And I can remember 6 years ago when we let go of we laid off all of our technology people. And I ran to my principal 6, 7 years ago wanting to volunteer, got told I couldn't do that. It's been this is a sea change, a paradigm shift in where we've got to be teaching our classrooms, isn't it? Are you seeing that in your site visits? Because you're out on school sites more than I am.
Some more than others.
More than others, yeah.
And I think now that we've got, we've been doing a significant amount of training, whether it's during the PLC time or using substitute days or after schools down here in the TEF lab. But now that the teachers all have the same device, it's all brand new, they've got hardware in their classroom where they can use more than just the projection devices. We've got extensive use on ETUSD, and with us rolling out even additional Chromebooks to a ratio of 4 to 1, that's something that we're talking about is how do we make that shift for some that aren't making it yet. The other thing that we'd like to do this year is to look at the technology skills that students need to have at particular grade levels, and now expect it, right? And so, whereas before, it was kind of hit and miss. Some schools had technology, other schools didn't. And so, now we're at a place where we've got it. And so, that'll be part of what we work on this year is what are those standard expectations for how students are using technology. And so, to look at organizations like ISTE, which is a International Society for Technology and Education, they've got standards lists there. I remember using some of them when I was a middle school principal. And so, we need to develop this consensus around what are those skills that students need to have around keyboarding or accessing, research articles online. And so, we are integrating a lot of these skills in the access to research in the Common Core training. And we have been for a few years. And so now that we've got additional devices out there, we can have a set expectation of this is what is expected when a student finishes 3rd grade. They will know how to keyboard or whatever that is, and that's something that we'll be working on throughout the year.
And I think, and I have asked all of our principals, and Gilmar knows that this is something that I want to make sure that all of our folks know. The reason why we can have this conversation, the reason why we are where we are today, twofold. One, what the board did during the Great Recession and building up reserves to do something with our network so that we had a first-class network. And number 2, that we passed Measure T so that we actually have funds dedicated to technology. Without those 2 things, we would be back having the same conversations that we had. So I think it's important to remind folks, parents, teachers, classified folks, all of the people out there, that's the reason, those 2 things are why we are where we are today, which is simply miles ahead of where we were.
Yeah, I can't say that. Having had kids in this district now, I've got a sophomore at home for years. That's quite a few years. Like the change in technology has been fascinating. So I could not be more excited and thrilled. And Mr. Morris said in an email to me, we led them to the water, it's now time to teach them how to drink, when we rolled the laptops out. So it's all part of the process, so, thank you.
Yes. All right, any other questions? All right, exciting times, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, it's been approved. Approval to purchase it, I'm going to read it and then I'll ask for a motion in a second. Approval to purchase the Fortinet firewall cybersecurity solution. I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Oh, Don's still here.
Second.
Okay, is this Mr. Mara or is this Dr. Stowe? Okay.
It's myself.
He's been a busy guy.
Yeah, it's a busy night. So we need a firewall solution and unified threat management solution. So we're beyond having just a stateful firewall these days with the advanced networks and the advanced threats. So I don't know if you know, but the current firewall we have in place in our new network is actually on loan. I guess during the upgrade, the firewall wasn't part of the new upgrade. So we need to have this in place and return the loaner. We looked at 3 solutions, Cisco, Planet, what's that? Pano Solutions and Fortinet. All modern firewalls and cybersecurity solutions these days do a lot more than just typical firewalling. So if I'm going to try to be not too technical, but to try and explain, your basic firewall is you raise a firewall and you only allow certain things to come through, right? So you poke holes and say, all right, port 80, that's the internet, we're going to let that come through. Port 443, that's SSL, we're going to let that come through. And then you kind of set it and then you forget it. Well, that's great until the smart people in the internet say, you know what, I'm going to send some really bad packets through port 80 because you leave that open for the internet. And we're going to design some really bad viruses and malware, and we're going to get through that port, okay? So your traditional firewall no longer works very well, okay? So both Cisco, Pano, and Fortinet have a unified threat management system because now it's beyond firewall. You're looking at what we call the application layer, right? It's not so mechanical anymore because they're designing malware application-based. So it's a lot smarter. So you need a system that's going to be a lot smarter. So what this will do is give you vulnerability management, application control, web security, and also has IPS and IDS, which is your intrusion protection, right? Intrusion prevention system, and an intrusion detection system, okay? And what those will do will keep from, and maybe Wormers knows more about this, denial of service attacks, distributed denial of service attacks. Those are always coming from Eastern Europe and China, right? So those are those things you hear about in the news. Oh my gosh, the entire site was taken down because of a DDoS attack. So this is the type of system that can keep us from those types of attacks. We looked at the 3 systems. They were very good, and they're very pricey. The Cisco solution came in at about $500,000. The other solution, Pano, came in at about $250,000, $260,000. This solution was cost-effective for us. Not only did we need one with unified threat management, but this device also needed to be in what we call high availability mode. So you need both. You need 2 of them basically. So we're getting 2 boxes. In case one fails, one takes over. So it's in an active state is what we call it, active. And again, the reason for that is because we have to be up 24/7, and we can never afford to be down any longer because we have students at home right now on TUSD doing homework, like they should be doing. The other piece, the last piece, is we're looking to upgrade our internet speed. So the interface needed to be rated of at least 10 gigabits per second or higher. This particular solution can get all the way up to 40 gigs per second of internet speed. An RFP that will be coming out from us pretty soon in the next few weeks, we're looking for a 10 gig pipe to feed our district. And right now we're at 1 gig, and I can't remember if I said this in the last meeting or I was talking to someone else. You know, the Schools and Library Division, the FCC, basically the government, in order to be competitive in the 21st century, says we need to deliver 1 gigabit of speed per 1,000 students, right? In order to deliver all these Web 2.2 applications online, right? That means you've got 24,000 students. In the next few years, we need to be at about 24 gig of speed. Currently, we're at 1, okay? And we have a lot of sites. Right now, it's not so bad because we're throttling a lot of the traffic. So we're not allowing a lot of, to the dismay of some of our students and staff, why is my Pandora radio, why does it sound like AM radio? Or why is the YouTube stream slow and choppy? We're having to do that and throttle because we don't have a big enough pipe. So when the RFP is developed, I'll be looking at different speeds, a 1 gig, 4 or 5 gig, and then the big pipe of 10 gig, which I'm hoping will be delivered cost effectively it'll be either LACO or Time Warner or whichever service provider is out there. But this needed to come first. Our existing firewall, we can't plug a 10 gig pipe into what we have upstairs right now. So that's why this is what you'll see first. And then when the RFPs when the bids come in for the new pipe, we'll be able to select one. It'll fit right into this. And this is just the first piece of the data center, right? And I think we talked about, or at least before I came, I heard that you already know that we're upgrading the data center upstairs. This is the first piece of it, and you'll see after the internet piece, the data center needs to be redone, and that's all of the storage and compute, right? So that's all of your Cisco UCS Nimble solution and 60 terabytes of data, of storage that we need to keep ourselves going. It's a lot.
And the power?
And we're doing the power, and I'm working with Jorge here. He's going to get me my natural gas backup generator. He says he's done it 1 million times, so we've got that all planned out. So we've already talked. He's been upstairs. We've looked at the power needs because we do have to swap a couple sources for a couple panels from a 25 amp, switching it over to the 250 so that we can hang our batteries off of it and keep the district up and running in case a crow hits the transformer again, from what I heard from
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stefan, did you have a question?
So this is good, the firewalls themselves are going to be paid out of the Microsoft, and that's the last of our Microsoft settlement money?
Yeah, this actually was available already. Judy Chai said this account code string was there. The district had, it was available to us, so this is
But then
Microsoft vouchers.
the licenses and the maintenance of it is $50,000 a year, comes out of general fund.
Yeah. And then I just submitted, because we did have another, this is actually Microsoft voucher money that was already sitting in the budget. I just submitted to the claims administrator the remaining amount for the $522,000. So we should be getting a couple checks in the mail in a few weeks for some additional monies. And then I'm sure I'll have plans for that amount too.
I'm sure you will, Mr.
Nothing I do apparently is
Inexpensive.
Cheap.
It
I wasn't going to say
isn't.
cheap.
No. Mrs. Reagans?
Actually, I think he may have answered my question, but I just want to know what the duration then is, what's the expected life of this at $50,000 a year?
We'll go at least 6 to 7 years on this
6 to
equipment.
7 years,
Yeah.
okay,
Before you start to look at changing it out.
right, okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the board?
Has it been surprising to you, Dr. Mann, how expensive some of this stuff is
No, not after I spent $6 million for a
network?
network.
This is cheap to you, huh?
Pennies.
Support, you gotta do it.
Okay, if there are no further questions, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it's been approved. Thank you. All right, we move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole?
You do, from me. Unless somebody wants to pull something out of the consent
I'll
agenda.
second that. That's asking her. I don't think we've got anything here. I've already had my
You?
question about deferred maintenance answered.
No, I was gonna second it, you guys beat me to it.
Oh,
Okay, who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, and,
Mr. Lee, if you could write him down in a second, it would be
Yeah,
fine.
Mr. Lee is the second.
okay, no discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, motion, it's
There
been,
was the adjournment in the motion as well.
I should have,
we
yes.
should have.
Should have. It's all right.
Oh, I have some stuff.
you have stuff, okay. Number 21, information, any questions on the board calendar revisions to the administrative rules, July 15 revisions? No questions? Okay, item 22, comments from members of the Board of Education, report from the board's representative to the Southern California Regional Occupational Center, SoCal ROC, Mrs. Reagans.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say that we have set up an opportunity for SoCal ROC to have a presentation by our school district administrators about the aquatic center so that they can get a really good idea of what that's going to involve for them. And aside from that, there is no savior or good news on the horizon as to funding source that will continue SoCal ROC, and the budget subcommittee for SoCal ROC continues to look at possible means to fund the center for the next few years, aside from the JPA contributions that have been determined for each of us. There was a presentation by a Torrance High School student, actually, who has taken a variety of classes at SoCal ROC. He took them while he was a Torrance High School student and has continued to take classes now that he's graduated 2 years ago and doing adult classes. So he's pursuing a variety of different things, including banking, and decided that rather than banking or getting certified in nursing, which is what his mom did at the center, that he liked welding. In fact, he has decided he wants to be a combination underwater welder. I thought that was kind of interesting. Had he not been introduced to welding at SoCal ROC, he probably would never have pursued that. But that's where he expects to be going. And he can get a basic certification at the center, and we'll finish that actually this year, and then move on to some specialization in the underwater part. So that was kind of nice that he had pursued that. And above and beyond that, I think that's it for SoCal ROC. But I do have a couple of other things. They did, by the way, give commendations and recognition to their IT department, all of their technicians who have been upgrading and improving their systems also. I had some difficulty using even my iPad on their system when I first started at the center, and now that's better and improved. So they're kind of going through the same process we are, but perhaps not to the same magnitude, and hopefully not the same price tag, but you never know. I wanted to go back for just a second to one of the things on the consent calendar, just because it was something that caught my eye. One of the gifts to the district was a $7,000 gift from Principal Barbara Marks and the student body at Anza Elementary School for stage curtains that they recently purchased. And I just wanted to, I figured there was a story behind it, and in fact there was, that the school did fundraising for a couple of years. They sold See's Candy, they did recycling, and had the kids assisting, and then PTA stepped in and helped to a considerable extent. So they now have new flame retardant stage curtains in their cafetorium, I almost said auditorium, in their cafetorium, that really makes a huge difference in terms of the appearance as well as the usability of their stage. So Barbara Marks said she would love to take credit for having donated that amount, but it did not come out of her pocket, and it really was a group effort. In fact, she wanted to thank, by the way, the district for assisting her in the process. We actually did assist with some of the expense, as well as helping her to find vendors that would be conducive to helping them be able to afford that. So that's the kind of thing that actually we keep seeing more and more of at our schools, where they're finding ways to get things that they need. And there was another large gift, actually, that I wanted to mention. Michael Schaefer from the Depot had donated $6,000 worth of tables and chairs to the district. So we appreciate that from him, too. I wanted to thank the city of Torrance. This is kind of a weird one. I understand that they were to be repaving Yukon Avenue next to North High School on Thursday, the first day of school. And when it was brought to their attention that that might not be the best day to do that, they did in fact move the paving, and they did it on Saturday instead, which is highly unusual. But they did move it, and were very helpful to us not to have closed down that street for that first day of school. That could have been really difficult in so many ways. So thank you, City of Torrance, for your flexibility. And on our agenda last time, we did have September and October as PTA membership months in a resolution. I want to make sure we pointed that out. And September 15th to October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month. So we did have some nice resolutions there, too. And I forgot last time to announce the anniversary increments for our wonderful classified people last month. And, oops, I want to make sure I got the right, yeah. So for 10 years of service, we had Vilma Carrizales and Jose Trujillo, and Suzanne Allison, and Alicia Becerra, and Terry Evans, and Ronald Hopkins, and Rhonda Ishida, and Julian Keesing Cookson, lots of them at the beginning of the school year, I guess. Maggie, oh gosh, I meant to ask how you pronounce, Cupelian, I believe. Elizabeth McQueen, Kathleen Medlock, Mandy Nicholson, Marina Ojeda, and Veronica Relay. And then for 15 years of service, we had Kathleen Bodecker, and Nancy Horvat, and Sheila Sandford, as well as Dean Kalari, Jewel de Guzman, Nicole Miller, and Christopher Williams. And then some 20-year folks, too, that have stayed with us for a very long time. Actually, many of the people we honored tonight were people that had been around for that long. One of those is Robert Evans, and then we also have Diana Demschke and Tammy Harmon. So those are people who have worked for our students, served our students, kept our schools running, and thank you so much for your years of service in doing that. And I think that's it. No more comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Reagans. Mr. Stefan? No. No comment? Mr. Lee?
Hold on. I think I'm okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Warmers?
Ready to go with technology to work on my end.
Mr. Morrow would be more than willing to help you out, Mr. Lee.
Well,
Stay online for a private lesson.
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then at this point, I'd like to adjourn, make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay.
See you later, you guys.
Good night, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.